I read 6 books in May and learned how to knit. Let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Jaslyn, and this is Jazzy's Land, and we're going to be talking about some books while I do my little knitting to just have something to do with my hands, okay? May was an interesting reading month for sure. I feel like I didn't really read as many books as I might have wanted to, but I read some interesting ones for sure. If you guys hear like yelling and stuff outside, I'm so sorry because I live in New York and the Knicks are in the finals right now. So it's like, what do you expect? Okay. Anyways, back to the books. Okay. I read Fevered Star by Rebecca Roanhouse, which is in the Between the Earth and Sky trilogy. It's the second book. Black Sun is the first book, and I loved Black Sun. I went to Fevered Star not really knowing what to expect, and I just loved kind of that deeper exploration into the world, into the characters. I think I love the ensemble cast. Really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. The next book on our list we have, oh my gosh, they are shouting outside right now. It's crazy. Um, that's how I know the Knicks are doing good right now because it is turned up. It's turned up downstairs. Um, so next we have House of Monstrous Women by Daphne Fama. This was a story set in I think in the 80s, the Philippines in the 80s. This follows a woman who gets drawn to a house by like her childhood friend, and she gets drawn into like this dangerous game where they have to kind of like hunt each other through like this giant house that's like very maze like, and there's monsters and some type of other stuff going on, and it's really eerie and gross. Lots of insect kind of horror, which depends on what you're into. If you're into insect horror, this might be the book for you. It's all about like overcoming generational trauma and about like the trauma that is passed down through specifically women, because this is a story about monstrous women. And so I thought that was really interesting. I gave that 3.5 stars. The House of Monstrous Women and these next 2 books I finished all in one day because I was just like feeling insane one day. So the next one on the list is Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw, which I've read one other Cassandra Khaw book and I was not a huge fan. So I kind of picked this book up only because it was already on my list, but I couldn't remember why it was on my list. So I wanted to read it and see, maybe if it was hidden. So Nothing But Blackened Teeth is about, it's like a short story. Well, I don't know if it's considered a short story. It's only 125 pages, but it follows these group of friends, and they all have some type of history with each other, this background that we're going into. And there's a couple and they're getting married and they're obsessed with haunted houses and stuff. Basically, the wedding's going to be in this haunted mansion. And so they all go into this big haunted mansion that one of the rich boys rented out. And obviously, haunted mansions do what haunted mansions do, And so there's like, I thought it was like interesting. I definitely liked this book more than I liked Cassandra Khaw's What Doesn't Break, I think is the name of it. I enjoyed this more. I don't think it was anything new to me. But I did enjoy reading it though, in my like fever dream when I was reading like crazy in that one night. The next one, which I also finished in my nightly sprint of reading, this is called The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Nai Vo. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Sorry. This is a story within a story, and it's basically, this handmaiden. So she's telling the story about how she was this handmaiden for like this lonely like emperor's wife, and basically it's kind of like a feminist story about how she like reclaims herself and her life, and kind of how they fall in love. I think there was like some type of like intimacy. Honestly, this story confused me, and it could have been because I was reading it like I said, in the dead of night, just after like speed reading other books. So, you know, sometimes it's user error, and I'm the user who was errored. The next book I read was actually a graphic novel called Abbott by Saladin Ahmed. I absolutely adored this. So it follows Abbott, who is a Black journalist in I think the 70s, and she basically is getting a lot of pushback because she wrote the story about police brutality, and so now all the cops are out to get her. But also, there's this dark force, some type of mystical darkness that is killing Black people and then turning their bodies into monsters to be used. Abbott, she has this history. Her fiance was killed by this darkness, but at the time she just didn't, she didn't believe in it, and he basically was saying that she's the light bringer. And so now we're basically following her journey in as she's trying to figure out who is killing these Black people, because as a journalist, she feels like she got to play detective because these cops don't care, because the people who are dying don't matter to them. So she's playing detective, and she's trying to solve these crimes while also dealing with like newfound powers that she just never knew that she had. And I like simply loved it. This one that I read had like the first 5 like volumes, so I really want to pick up the next ones and continue on with her story, and see what more she becomes. I think I gave that 4 stars as well. So I mean, really, really great read. The last book in this list is The Secret World of Maggie Gray by Granger. I've been wanting to read this book since I've seen the cover. Like, I've seen the covers all around Instagram. I've been wanting to read this book. It is a magical Black HBCU. And ever since I read that, I've been like, yes, absolutely. I need that in my life. So this follows Maggie Gray as she discovers that all the stories that her grandma has been telling her growing up are actually true. And she realizes that she may be from a very, very powerful mythical family, and she is not prepared. She gets swept up into this HBCU, and is surrounded by a bunch of other Black mythical, creatures, as basically she's surrounded by a bunch of Black mythical creatures, and we follow her journey. One thing I will say about this book, it's a lot spicier and a lot like hornier than I was expecting it to be. But I guess that is part of the college experience, right? It's a lot of like sex. Like, if you're looking for just like a plain like fantasy magical, that kind of like dark like magical academia vibe, this is not that book. It's mostly just kind of like college rigmarole, with the fantasy twist, which I loved. So no complaints here. But yeah, those are all the 6 books that I read in May. I've been knitting this for a little bit. I just learned, so this is really just like my practice piece. But yeah, I don't know what I'm not really making anything to be honest. I'm just finding a way to move my hands that is not scrolling, okay? Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've read any of these books, let me know what you've thought. Let's chat in the comments. Don't forget to like and share, and as always, stay beautiful. Bye. Thanks for coming to Jazzy's Land. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.